All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Omnic Lab. This is episode 186, and just testing. Echo. Yeah, that's right. Echo's released this week. Welcome back. This is the Strategic Overwatch podcast for your eardrums and mine, because I'm doing some monitoring this week, so I have to hear myself twice while I'm talking, which is way worse than you guys just listening to the episode. But enough about me. Andres is back on the show as well. What's up, Andres? How's Georgia treating you?
It's been good. It's been good. Even with this whole coronavirus, I've been happy. I got to move to my new place. It's been great living over here. So at least being quarantined inside in the new place has worked out. I've had plenty of time to organize around the house, clean, and start making my own home. So, yep, can't complain.
Yes, and during the last weekend, we also got, or sorry, during this last week, we got Echo announced, which is a new DPS hero. So kind of unfortunate for a lot of us, but on the reverse side of things, that also means that there's a lot of things in development potentially for Overwatch 2. Maybe we're getting more of other things because they did say that they noticed, of course, they're not blind. They noticed that there's a lot of other heroes that are missing in those two categories of tank and healer, so they may be coming in the future. Um, as a quick reminder, we're going to go through a quick few things here of the information about the show, and then some reminders about Archives. Archives Week 2 is live. So this is Retribution Week. This is the McCree, Moira, Genji, Reaper event on Rialto, where you kind of rush to the end of Rialto and get on the airlift. There are two modes where only critical strikes can deal damage, and enemies can only be killed if a player is nearby. I haven't finished the second one just yet, but the first one I was able to manage to finish. Baptiste is the way to go. That's pretty much it. Play Baptiste and Orisa, and most of your ultimates won't really matter. Anything that does crits and DPS is great, but Orisa and Baptiste is great. Of course, McCree, Soldier, Widow, Ashe, and Hanzo are other great, excellent options for the crits. And then maybe on the reverse side of things that are close, Roadhogs, Reapers, all of those things for dealing damage if things are close is probably great, as well as Winston and Reinhardt, I think. But yeah. Any other things you want to add to this? Did you do this yet, Anders?
I played it, a few of them. To be honest, I've been playing a lot more comp lately. I've had the comp bug hit me, so I've been playing for the most part just regular Overwatch. But I did like a lot of the changes they made with like the challenge modes, and we talked about it last episode. Made me think a lot about what's coming in the future and some of the additions they might do. Also, I don't have a dedicated like group to do it. I wish I had more people that played around the time that I played that wanted to do these for real. Because I've played them all once, so I guess at this point I don't want to just play them again. But if it was like for a huge challenge, then I would be interested in it. But I don't know. I haven't found as many people that are like interested in that sense. So yeah, I haven't experimented with them much.
Okay, yeah. Mine's like the reverse side because I have the comp bug, but I don't really want to go play by myself. So it's kind of just inverse that. But I've got a lot of like casual players that really want to do these modes or want to go play quick play, want to do deathmatch. So I've been playing a lot of stuff with lower level players that are more conducive to playing after work for me rather than like in the morning for you guys. I did take a couple days off, but ended up doing other things, like buying Doom and playing a lot of that. That was a lot of fun, but we'll talk more about what we're playing lately because Andres has been playing something else as well at the end of the show, so we won't get too much about that. But there is a good reminder here that game night is this coming Saturday for me, this coming Friday for you on March the 27th. If you're in the States, please show up. If you're in Australia or on the Asia Pacific side, it'll be in the morning on Saturday around, I believe, around 8 a.m. Japan time or 7 p.m. Eastern is kind of when people start trickling their way in, just because of, times across the coast. But with all these quarantine people and lots of people working from home, maybe sooner and longer. So we're not really sure. And then in addition to that, we've got our Patreon coaching going on. And I want to do a quick shout out here for the 3 coaching sessions I had in the last 2 weeks. We've got Funhaver and Shade, who are very concerned about my health and well-being here in Japan. So I really appreciate those guys. And we kind of changed our coaching session up a bit this week and did some different things. It was fun. And I'm really glad for those guys for kind of taking care of me. They're like always asking me how I'm doing and talking about real life stuff. They're like, so how's your wife? How's work? You going? How's Japan? I feel like I get to talk a little bit with family when I go hang out with the coaching sessions. But you can sign up for that at the $2.50 level per episode at the plant level. And then I got one of your coaches. I got House this week, and that was a lot of fun to do. Kind of a coaching session with a regular that was on the other side, so we were able to make ends meet and do it for him. But he
Yeah,
enjoyed it, and we kind of did some fun stuff there.
that's awesome. Yeah, I have plenty of coaching sessions scheduled for this upcoming week. We've already done quite a few yesterday, and I'm doing a few more today. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to reconnecting with all of you guys again, and especially in these times of quarantine, I think it's a good time to do coaching. For example, you get to pass the time, you get to talk to somebody, and you get to see how they're doing. Like you've said, Rob, all of them have been super awesome with that. They all always ask how we're doing. I know that a few of you guys have been affected by this whole coronavirus thing, and we appreciate the support that you guys are giving us. But if at any point, it becomes your situation changes, we completely understand. All of our coaching sessions are still scheduled for this month. So if you're a patron, you will get your coaching session. Even if your situation changes, we get it. But I just want to say, especially game night coming this week, I think it would be a great time if you have been stuck at home and haven't been able to go out much, to have a good sense of community and come play with a lot of people. I think we always have a good time. In December, we had a huge, huge game night because everyone was at home with their families. So I don't know if this one will be like that too, but it might be big, like you said, Rob, because
Feel free to come in.
yeah, so feel free to join. There'll be plenty of people to go around, plenty of games, a chance to make friends online. What a good time to do it, right?
Yep, absolutely. And if you're confused about console ones, our Xbox community or Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch communities. If you want to start doing those, we are taking some assistance for that. If you want to run it for Switch on game night or Xbox in particular, we have a pretty good tight knit crew. If you're interested in doing a game night that night, so just go to the Discord into the PlayStation 4 channel as well as the game night PlayStation 4 channel, and you can talk to people in there in text and try to see who's planning and what, and swapping gamer tags and getting into their setup. I know that theirs is a bit more fun in less of the competitive category. So if you're into more fun game modes, they'll do a little bit more of those while they're warming up too. And as a last reminder, Rustclad Torbjorn is the skin of the week for this second week, and Bear May will be the following week starting on March 26th. All right, folks, let's get into the patch notes for PTR on March 19th and March 20th, which we got a hot fix. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cover some of the in-game changes, and then we're going to call full through Echo, and then we'll kind of just double back on one of the bug fixes for her. So first and foremost, training partner has been added to the practice range. So there's a little panel outside of the left exit of the training room where you can choose by hitting the H key to swap the hero in the little space. This is in preparation for allowing you to test different things against an enemy target of a different hero. So for example, the default one is Tracer, but you can choose what you like by hitting the H key and selecting a new one. And this is so that you can do the new ultimate ability for Echo as a test in the chamber there, as well as running different numbers against different heroes if you wanted to, or testing different hitboxes. The next one is that there is a patch notes button in the game now. You can go to the main menu, click the options key, and then you will see the patch notes button, and you can click that and it'll launch your web browser directly. So great stuff for PC and console, because you can launch the web page from consoles, I know, and it'll work. It's great. You can actually check the patch notes right then and there, and it's a great change.
Yes, that's really great changes. Great quality of life changes that. So too bad that it's taken so long to institute them, because they would have been really helpful for a lot of people learning the game. But glad that we have them now, and glad that they're there, because they definitely are welcome and will be used going forward.
It makes you want to think about some of the stuff with Overwatch 2. Maybe some of the things that they were trying to do for quality of life updates there, they could potentially port over and make reverse compatible. You know, that type of thing would be really, really helpful. So maybe the Overwatch 2 development team is kind of moving some of their assets over and kind of benefiting the base game, which is kind of nice now that they have those two teams expanded it. That's a possibility. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
saying that's
could
definite,
definitely
but
see that. And I mean, when Overwatch 2 comes out, I imagine that all quality of life changes will be applied, right?
oh yeah,
The only thing you won't have access if you don't purchase Overwatch 2 will be specifically the missions. But you'll get the
I'm also
benefit of
curious about
everything
the
else.
UI. If the UI will stay the old style or a new style.
No, everything will go into the new engine, is my guess. It would be too hard to
Yeah,
maintain like two versions of the game. It's much easier
that's
for them to
true.
just have one version for everyone and just lock the missions for the people who haven't purchased two. That would be my guess.
It's probably a mess of display issues if they didn't port it over, I would imagine.
Hmm.
Okay. So next we have Tracer's blink has been enhanced and improved for the accuracy of your blink movement such that Tracer will move likely and end up where the crosshairs on your screen are pointing. So here's a couple things in the developer comments to kind of elaborate on this because it's an extremely specific change, mostly quality of life, but in general should be a slight benefit to Tracer players just being more accurate with their movements. Tracer now blinks around and over obstacles more easily to move towards the crosshair location. For example, if you aim alongside of a corner of a wall, Tracer will blink past that corner. Tracer cannot, though, blink through spaces where she could not otherwise fit normally. Think about like a window space that's really tight that you can see through, like maybe a grate or a fence that you can even shoot through or see through on the other side. You cannot blink through something that your model can't fit through. And you cannot blink over obstacles that you would not otherwise be able to jump over normally as well. With the jump originating from Tracer's height at the start of the blink movement. So if you jump and then blink, it might actually get you a bit higher. You might be able to do this. There's a video on YouTube. If you're curious about this type of thing, I would highly encourage you look up Dante, Danteh, from the Houston Outlaws currently. He has a video of him trying to maneuvering with this new change in the PTR and testing it out and showcasing some of the things that you can do now on Anubis, at least initially. So
I
if you're
think
looking at that sort of thing.
this is really interesting, and I think this is a bigger change that it seems just from reading
Agreed.
it. Let's talk about a couple things. Let's talk about the first point that they make over here. Tracer will now blink around and over obstacles more easily to move towards the crosshair location. And that's a little cryptic, but then they say this. For example, if you aim alongside the corner of a wall, Tracer will blink past that corner. Historically, if you aim your blink towards a wall, it doesn't matter if there's space around the other side of the wall, which
You
technically,
go to the wall
if you think about the blink in general, you think you could go past a wall that is thin enough that your blink could clear it, right? But
on a
that's
corner, especially.
in a corner, especially. But that's just not how the game has worked ever. If you blink towards the wall, you'll get stopped by the wall, as if you had hit like a body in your blink, right? Which makes it seem more like a dash that she does more than like a space-time travel teleportation thing that it's what it
Correct.
seems. But this changes that, right? Now you can go through those walls, through those corners. If you can land in the space according to this, you will clear those obstacles. Before, an obstacle may be like a box you wouldn't be able to clear, but now you can. What I'm guessing is you can clear, or not guessing, but what I'm reading over here is you can clear that box with your blink, which on the hands of a skilled player that knows the map really well, this could be huge. You can really juke some really cool stuff.
It also works really, really well if you're going forwards rather than backwards or side to side. So you can enhance more precise movement by going forwards or moving the crosshair towards where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is like destructible or undestructible objects is probably what this is mostly going to be where you're going to feel it. Because a lot of times I won't be able to blink through like a pot that doesn't break somewhere or like a little brick on the side, like on Eichenwald. You know how that thing drops down on the third point, and there's like the little hill. If you've got your crosshairs and you can kind of clear the hill, you can blink over that a bit more accurately to a section that might be slightly obstructed. You can go through like 2 or 3 different small slight angles, walls, obstructions, etc. to get where you want to go. And that's really helpful. Like, I can't even begin to imagine how much quality of life this is going to give Tracer players in general. And also, when you got to keep in mind that this does not affect if you are trying to do what Andres is describing by going through the wall. If you don't have, like, if you're not within the blink distance to go past it, right? If you're trying to be precise to go past the wall, then you need to make sure you got enough space from your blink of that set distance that you know you're going to go. Because if you're going max distance, you're going to hit the wall. You know?
And I don't think that this will give you like teleportation abilities. Like, this is still a dash per se, where your body just moves in a straight line very fast. So you'll still collide with things. Like a good example that I can think is Volskaya Point B. When you're going into that initial choke point from outside to inside the warehouse, there's a very thin wall that kind of like splits the choke point into 2 entrances. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
In Volskaya Point B, that like very thin wall. Like that one, I don't think you can clear that wall if you're just like blinking from the center to the other side of it. You still hit the wall.
No, you can't.
In that case, because 2 things. One, you can't clear it by jumping, right? So Tracer can't regularly just clear by jumping. And 2, the edges of the wall are too far from you, so there's just not enough distance for the blink to get there. But if you're doing it from the edge of that wall, you will be able to blink to the other side of the wall, because technically your blink can go around it, or it has enough distance to go around it. Does that make sense?
Again, the key is, where is your crosshair? If your crosshair is pointed at a wall, you're going to blink to the wall. You're not going to blink past the wall. But if your crosshair is pointed like around the corner, and you need to kind of go to the corner and then around it on the other side through a straight line, like there's some sort of obstruction, or maybe it's more of your crosshairs looking over that wall.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to look over it, but it's still blocking your path.
Oh, yeah,
you won't blink into it anymore. You'll blink past it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So it's kind of a complex thing to talk about in an audio only thing. So that's why I'm encouraging folks to go check out Dante's video, maybe go into the PTR and test it yourself. But if you don't play a lot of Tracer, you may not really feel it a whole lot. But for people that play it a lot, or even pros that are trying to do these weird blink maneuvers for flanks or high ground acquiring spots, then that's going to definitely show up. All right, let's talk Echo. Echo is the 11th hero to be launched for Overwatch, and it is hero number 32. And this hero is potentially, I've been hearing, the last hero that we get for the base game. This is not confirmed in any official sources, but is very strongly suggested by a lot of media sites and news sources that have been getting published.
I think they did say that on the last BlizzCon, right? When they announced Overwatch 2, that did say that there was going to be one more hero.
1 or 2 other heroes before the next game.
Okay.
So I don't know how you want to look at that, but in my estimation, that's a good sign. And also another sign that we may be waiting a bit longer for Overwatch 2. You never know. So Echo is a damage dealing character with 200 hit points and no variation in those hit points. The English voice actor is Janine Bollet, I believe is how you say her name. I found her on Twitter this week. She's wonderful. And her abilities, let's go through them. Basic ones. Passive, she can glide. Similar to a flying character like Pharah or Mercy, you can glide on the way down. But her glide works differently in that it's not a jump jets fuel thing like for Pharah, and it's not a slow fall type of deal or a very light glide, very elegant from Mercy, but this is a bit more of an aggressive kind of glider mentality where it's more of a horizontal speed adjustment with a very slight slow down. So you're kind of moving a little slower than falling, but you're not moving as slow as Mercy, and you're going to be able to glide past stuff. So it feels like you're on a glider, which is pretty cool.
You can move like to the sides much easier than Pharah too, much faster. So
correct.
It
Dodgy,
does feel
dodgy.
it feels very different. Like it takes some time to get used to it. It's not like Mercy. It's not like Farah. It's that
It's
style but
different.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Her primary fire is called Tri-Shot. It fires 3 pellets in a very triangular shape that basically will slowly spread out from a center point. They do not rotate or anything. They go like Helix rocket does. They're 3 little missiles like spin. This is like 3 little dots that kind of slowly expand. So at range, it's a little harder to get headshots, for example, or hit all 3 of them on smaller
Yeah.
targets.
It reminds me of Doomfist secondary fire, a little bit more
Correct.
precise than him. It is very medium rangey though. Like past medium range, the shots spread out quite a bit and they become a little bit more unreliable. But at medium range, it does medium and close range. It hits pretty hard.
They do a 17 damage per pellet, or about 51 if you hit all 3 of them, which is more accurate. And they can crit like a normal primary fire. So if you hit one of these shots, all 3 of them into the head of a target, it will take 102 damage before calculating the -5 from armor if they have armor.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very strong primary fire. You can fire 3 shots in a second, and you got 15 rounds in the clip. The reload's really fast. It's like a 1.5-second reload. It feels quick when you're using it too.
Mm-hmm.
Her projectile speed is 75 meters per second, which is super quick. But to give you like a little bit of a comparison, if you play Torbjorn and Doomfist, it's right between them. Torbjorn's at 70, Doomfist is at 80, and it's 75 is where Echo's at. So if you're used to those 2 projectiles, that's the speed without any like arcing. So it is definitely slower than your Meis and your Zens and your Hanzos and your Anas, but it's faster than Farah and faster than Genji. So if you're used to those heroes, that's kind of ballparking to get you an idea if you haven't gotten on the PTR, especially for those of you on console. I know you're like, well, what is it like? I can only watch streams. What's it feel like? So if you want to go test those heroes, that's going to put you in the right ballpark of practice. Sticky bombs. This is the most ridiculous ability. You can throw in a short succession 6 little bombs out from your secondary fire or your right click on PC or your other trigger on consoles. And each bomb takes about 0.65 seconds to release, and you got 6 of them. So it'll take a little bit of a wind up to do that, to get all of them to release. They're a bit slower. They're 50 meters per second projectiles, so they're slower than Genji's, like main shurikens, to throw them out there, so they're a bit slower. But they do 5 damage when they hit like a sleep dart, and then explode for 30 seconds after a 1-second delay. And they have a small little explosion radius of 2 meters, so about 4 foot diameter around the explosion area. You can be affected by them. And the cooldown is 6 seconds. And if you stick all of them, that's 210 damage over the course of time.
It's quite strong.
What is this? What is this ability? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's a quite strong ability. It has a lot of range. I didn't realize this at first, but they shoot all in a straight line. And they keep going for quite a significant. Fall. Yeah, they don't fall off. They just keep going in a straight line, kind of like a Zenyatta bullet. So the range is unlimited. The only limiting factor is the timing of it. Obviously, the further your target is, the more unreliable the ability becomes. But that being said, you can definitely stick these things at a really long distance. So if you see somebody who's about to go into a hallway or a choke point or some sort, you can just throw him at them, and a lot of times you'll stick him. I would say the best way I found using them, though, is to combine them with your primary fire. When you're assaulting a target, you can pepper with your primary fire, then spread all your sticky bombs and keep peppering. And if you get a few shots on them and a few sticky bombs on them, you don't have to stick them all. You'll get a confirmed kill on a squishy pretty fast. Also, you can use it as a zoning tool. They stick to surfaces. So if you fire at a wall or at the ground, they'll stick to the ground and like fire off eventually. So
in a second.
Mm-hmm. You can throw him at an area like around like a Nana, for example, and she'll be forced to move out of the way, or all these things will explode on her. Great AoE ability as well. If or an Orisa pulls, for example, and you stick a several
Just
heroes,
chuck
or
them
you
all
stick,
in there.
yeah, or a graviton, or anything where they're cluster up, you can throw them at them, and they'll hit several heroes at a time because they have an exploding radius. So definitely a lot of things to consider with this ability. A lot of ways of using it, and to me, it seems, or the more you start playing Echo, the more you realize she's a very combo centric hero. You're not just relying on your primary fire. Your primary fire is a complement to the rest of your kit. And utilizing your primary fire and the sticky bombs at the same time or in tandem is going to be pretty important with her.
Agreed, especially when you're taking duels. If you're seeing any sort of trash damage going on, Echo is very similar to a dive hero like Genji and Tracer and Winston and Diva, where you just take advantage of a situation on the drop of a hat. You're able to get in, shoot them. You maybe not be able to get out as well. Very similar to Genji, right? Like Genji can only get out if he confirms a kill, and then he can dash out. Tracer only, she's got blinks. Winston's got to wait on his jump, that sort of thing. That's very adjacent to her playstyle. She hits real hard, and like Andres was saying, like these sticky bombs are your bread and butter. Like they get you your ult charge real quick, especially if you can hit them. If they explode that and miss, that's fine. You can use them like zoning, like Andres was saying. But more often than not, I see like the some of the pro guys that are playing, the top streamers will fly straight up in the air and then get above the Reinhardt shield and then just and hit him right in the head with 6 of them and do 200 damage. And that's a bunch of ult charge. And if you can, and again, just like the Mercy change where you get damage boost, you can damage boost this ability and then throw them all out, and then you can drop the damage boost because it's already applied because they're projectiles. So it's really, really, really powerful to do these sort of things with these bombs, especially like you were saying with the AOE. It's the damage potential is outrageous.
Yeah, you definitely want to be using these quite often.
As much as possible, yeah. The next one we have is the flight ability. So we talked a little bit about this and the glide, but the flight ability is your ability 1 that allows you to kind of get a quick burst of speed for about a second or less. It's very, very similar to how you use Moira Fade, is kind of how it feels, but it's any direction you want to go, including up. And you can cancel it by hitting the button again if you like early. Otherwise, you'll have a full 3 seconds that you can kind of go any direction that you want, similar to a Mercy's Valkyrie ability. You can go any direction without holding the space bar, holding the jump key to glide. You don't have to do that. So very, very cool ability to give you flight and then continue to glide down after this ability is spent. This is also a 6-second cooldown. So in theory, you could burn this and then throw your sticky bombs, and the next time your flight comes back up, you got your sticky bombs back again because they essentially have the same timing.
Yeah,
focusing beam. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. You want to say anything there?
No worries. I was gonna say the flight does get some time to get used to it. It's a little bit different than Farah's, especially because you can have that horizontal movement that Farah doesn't have, right? Farah is just straight up vertical.
Straight up.
And all her abilities work in a vertical plane. Echoes, though, she can move horizontally pretty reliably with the glide and with her little speed boost too.
Yeah.
Her rocket jump. So definitely some time to get used to it. But I think that once people get used to her movement, you'll see some Echoes do some really, really cool moves. It does open up the possibility for you to gain high ground very easily. So you're a hero that can always sort of have like an overlook on the enemy team. And it plays around with her very well because she's a squishy hero herself, but it's a squishy hero that likes playing kind of close. Medium to close range is where her abilities really shine the most. You just have to keep in mind that she has 0 defensive abilities. Her defensive ability are more evasive maneuvers. You can reposition yourself really quickly, but you have no shields, no way of generating HP, no way of healing yourself at all. And you only have 200 HP. So you have to really be careful with her. Even Genji has more ways. Genji and Tracer have a lot of ways of
Recall
avoiding
and deflect,
damage, and
especially.
Genji has a ton of movement, and deflect is an amazing ability, right? If you time it right, you can really mitigate a lot of the damage that is coming at you. Echo doesn't have anything like that. Damage is coming at you,
Fear dodge.
it's gonna hit you. Yeah, you have to dodge it. That's the only way that you can really save yourself. So her flight is gonna be really important for you to find positions where you can get that distance that you need, while keeping yourself safe, and being very creative and moving your location quite often, I would say.
The safest thing for Echo is going to come up with this next ability called Focusing Beam, which gives 50 damage per second in a 20-meter range for 2.5 seconds of just straight beam. So she does a TN blast, the tri blast that he does in Dragon Ball Z, if you're familiar with that, or like a key blast from Vegeta, that sort of thing. But it's a steady beam. So it does one of the better yet, because she's like all white and blue, kind of like Frieza's white and purple. Just a Frieza beam.
It is
But
like a
yeah,
crazy looking beam.
yeah, it's scary. That thing is not just the 50 damage per second, which is like, why would you ever use that? It does 200 damage per second if a target's health, if a target's total health or barrier health has 50% left. You can do 200 damage per second for 2.5 seconds. Insane amounts of damage.
Yes. And this is like the thing that complements her kit. This is what brings it all together. It makes her a hunter. This is the move with Echo. You're going to be in a safe spot, away from danger. You're going to be scouting the battlefield. You're going to be positioning yourself in places where you can easily scout the battlefield, because you can, thanks to your abilities. The second you see a squishy or somebody out of position that has little HP, you can dash towards them. And you're going to use your abilities like this: fire, then sticky bombs. If you land at least one shot and at least 2 sticky bombs, you might as well just start doing your beam.
Game over.
If you start doing your beam after this, by the time your sticky bombs explode, they're going to be in the 50 health range, or 50% health range. And this beam will just completely melt them off. Like, no chance. Like, they're done. They're done so. You can kill any 200 HP hero incredibly fast with her like this.
And she rips through barriers if you're trying to set up a shatter with your Reinhardt or a big play with somebody's like Graviton Surge. It's insane. You rip through divas in like a second.
Yes. Like a diva at 50% HP. Oh, man. That's awesome. Barriers are also great for this. So the rest of her kit is okay against barriers. Her primary fire is kind of shitty with them. The sticky bombs can do a fair amount of damage, but honestly, you don't want the sticky bombs going to the shield too much. But if your team is trying to focus down the shield, as soon as you see that crack, you turn on your beam. Oh man, that's a ton of damage that is coming into that barrier. That's how you contribute to the shield war with her. But again, this thing has a ton of range too, so don't be fooled by the fact that it's a beam. You can actually kill heroes from a fair distance. So again, you don't have to be in people's faces, because you're very vulnerable. If a lot of damage comes at you really fast, you're dead. So use your flight, use those abilities, those movement abilities that you have to position in a good range. Try to get a good sense for the max range of this beam, because your primary fire, your sticky bombs, and that beam all have about the same effective range. So if you can play at that distance, you're good to go, and you can get a lot of kills.
And if you're kind of like playing on the ground in a high ground position, you can kind of just already get these things and then use your glide to get in or get out. Instead of, you could play aggressive by just jumping down and doing all these things without your glide, and then use your glide speed boost to get you out of there. That could also help.
I would say you almost never want to use your glide to go into a lot of enemies. So if there's more than 2 enemies, I'll be really wary of gliding towards them. If it's a single hero, I mean, if you're confident you can use your combo to kill them, I would say go for it. But yeah, for the most part, you want to save your glide to either position yourself in a safe position or to get away, right? Or to hunt. Again, targets alone, you think you can kill him, boom, go hunt him down.
Let's talk about this insane ability of the ultimate. Duplicate is a 40-meter targeting range. So within 40 feet, you can choose your target. And then in a 0.35 second windup and a 1 second delay of encasing yourself in Echo's kind of crystalline form, she turns into basically a chrysalis and then pops out as the hero you selected. For 15 seconds, you now can play a different hero with 6.5 faster time recharge rate on your ultimate. So essentially, you can get to less than 50% of a clip on Tracer on a single target and have your bomb ready to go. Or you can basically get a Rhine Shatter in 2 swings. If you hit one target, you can get a Rhine Shatter. This is insane amounts of potential. You can do this with anything. You can increase your effective health. You go invincible for that second that you're transforming, so you cannot be interacted with outside of a hack. According to Andres, I think displacement does play a part. So if you are getting displaced, then that works. But I've seen a lot of Echoes just use their flight ability and then they glide to where they want to go and then they activate this. And for that 1 second, they can basically get ready to do their abilities and then drop out of the sky as a roadhog and just go hook, shoot, ult. It's like super terrifying. Super scary, but very, very cool that you get this for 15 seconds. If you do happen to die in your copy, that form not only looks like the crystalline form, right? It looks like this reddish version of them, like totally, or bluish on your screen for your allies and your ally Echo. But once you die, you have another 1 second of invulnerability as you shift back into Echo, and then you get your 200 hit points back from Echo's model. So you can even just use this for body blocking damage or eating something. There's lots of ways to use this, but most of them involve copying a tank and getting a big sack of hit points and a crazy ultimate. I've also seen people just take Anna for a quick sleep dart and anti-nade and then shooting one target and then nanoing somebody is nuts. Like, that's pretty nutty. Getting a defensive ult really quickly is not really in the cards for you, I think, unless you're playing Zenyatta. But defensive ult for Lucio is a bit slow. So maybe don't do that.
You can. The ultimates load up so fast that if you're hitting your shots and you're getting a good amount of heals, you will get, I would say every ult in the game, it's gettable with Echo at this point. This ultimate,
some
honestly,
of them more than others. You can get like 2.
It is freaking busted right now. Like,
it's so strong.
The fact that you can get multiple ultimates with one hero, like, ultimates are really, really strong. And I think when Jeff announced it, he even smirked himself and he was like, guys, if it's too much, we'll tone it down. And it's fine that in PTR is like this, but if Echo is released like this, man, you're going to see Echoes in every single match. In every game for a while. Yeah, because her kit is pretty cool. It's pretty decent, and you can definitely get a lot of kills in the right hands. It's very skillful in the sense that you have to use it, but her ultimate is like off the charts, because if you already have a skillful person controlling Echo as a whole, and then you're combining this with the ability to get so much potential with ultimates like that, I think it's just like a lot. I think that eventually you should make it so that you can get one ultimate. Because that seems fair. I mean, that seems fair, right? If your ultimate gives you the ability to get an ultimate from the enemy team, right? Kind of like copycat, and you still have to put in some damage from yourself. So I think that it would be a fair trade-off. But the fact that you can get multiple ultimates, that is a huge swing of battle, right? Like, one ultimate gets you multiple ultimates. The sad thing is that if
you do pick Tracer on the enemy team and Echo copies you, it's not ridiculous to think that you're going to be enduring during an Echo ultimate the possibility of 3 pulse bombs. That's very reasonable.
Yeah, no, it totally is. One clip gets you a pulse bump if you land enough shots.
Or less, if you get headshots.
Yeah. So to me, they should make it even like a flat rate. Like, if you deal a certain amount of damage while you're any hero, you get that ultimate for that hero once, period. That's it.
See, I don't personally like that. I think that they just need to reduce the 6.5 times down, because I feel like the 6.5 times is on the off chance you're choosing the heroes that take a long time to charge them, like Zarya's and Lucio's, for example. But even Moira has like we discussed on our Moira Going Deep episode, has the longest time to get her ultimate, but has the easiest time at gaining ultimate with so many different targets that it's unrealistic. So if we kind of go into overall impressions, I personally think that all of her stuff needs to be dropped down. Every single ability except for glide and the speed, like for flight.
So let's talk about what would be the minimum threshold for her ultimate.
Sure.
Would we be okay if she transformed into another hero and didn't get the ultimate? Let's say she transformed into one of those
lower. It would be too boring,
right? It would be. I think that would be like the threshold,
useless,
right? You at least want to get you at least want to get one ultimate, right? No matter who you transform.
Within the first 5 to 10 seconds without dying.
No matter who you transform, you at least want to get one ultimate.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what is too much? Is it okay to get 2 shatters?
If your enemy team is standing on top of the new Echo that's playing Reinhardt and doesn't back up, sure. I don't see a problem with that.
So 2 shatters, we're okay. What about 2 gravitons?
I don't know if I've seen that as a possibility, but maybe if you get a bunch of charge and then go into it.
It's a little harder because graviton lasts like a few seconds and you can't load charge while it's there, so it does limit
everything breaks when you're gone too. Like I've seen them copy Brig and get the rally. The rally doesn't stick after you transform back. It's gone.
Interesting. So yeah, some ultimates are a little bit worse than others, right? Like
Same with Lucio. Like if you drop the beat at the very end, it's gone when Echo transforms back.
Oh, okay. So yeah, definitely some stuff to consider there. So that's what I'm saying.
So that part's balanced at least, I think.
So what about let me think of
here's my proposing thing, right? The biggest thing I think is if you're gonna give Echo the ability to do this crazy stuff, you need to slow her way down to getting this access, because she can build her ult way too quickly right now, in my opinion. Because like if you're throwing sticky bombs out every 6 seconds on cooldown and you're hitting it like 2 of them, that's a lot of damage. And your primary shoot, like just trash damage, you're able to build your ult with Echo real quick. Because your flight ability, you can just go straight up and just pepper out on tanks, kind of like Sombra. Sombra can build her ult real quick, right? So I think you, first of all, you need to slow that crap down, whether it be through toning the other abilities down and also increasing the point cost to charge it. And then I think that 6.5 times charge rate is already too fast. So I think if you allow multiple charge rates of stuff for specific heroes, like Tracer, for example, it's okay. Or maybe even Reinhardt. But like, because they have their own set of limitations to getting the ultimates, right? But like, if you can bring that number down to like 4 times the normal charge rate, where it's not asking too much of some of the heroes within the 15-second window, then do that. Or instead of doing the 6.5 time thing, you adjust that. I think you adjust the duration of the ultimate down to 10 seconds. So you remove 5 seconds off the top and you don't allow them to have it that much.
So I think, so let's also think about the usability of the ability, right? Like, how do we want people to use the ability? Because in my opinion, it's a cool idea that Echo can transform into another hero, because that alone already brings a ton of possibilities, right? Let's not even think about ultimates yet. Ultimates out of the picture. Just the fact that you can transform into another hero can really change the tide of battle, right? If the enemy team is doing, well, it really depends on what you want to transform, right? But if the enemy team is playing a certain strategy and you notice that one of the heroes that they're playing would be really useful to counter that strategy and for you to be able to get through, and you switch into that, and it does help your team get to the point or defeat them or whatever it may be, like, that already takes a big read on the game, right? And being able to be like, I'm going to copy this person, that's going to give me the advantage, because now we're going to have these abilities. So, for example, having 2 Reins on your team, that already brings a ton of new doors open, right? Like, imagine the enemy Rein going against 2 Reins. You immediately win the front line right there. There's just like, there's nothing else you can do. They have 2 shields, they have 2 hammers, they have 2 shockwaves being thrown at you without even counting shatter. Same with like Roadhog, for example. You copy him, now your team has a hook, And that's something that the enemy team wasn't counting on before. Maybe some of their enemy teammates are out of position. They were not ready for a hook. And now the Echo has that way to kill somebody. So I think that
Now let's throw in a monkey wrench and a timeout for that, because the cool thing when I was watching Jeff's comments on this hero and Jeff Goodman's, they mentioned that that was the specific reason why you cannot copy an ally, because it was way too powerful to just guarantee you're going to get this hero every time you use the ultimate.
Exactly.
So there's a huge level of counterplay on the enemy team.
Yeah, like if you don't want to play something that they're going to copy for your detriment,
yeah, they're running that. You're like, well, we're not running that. No shatters for you, Echo. We're not playing Reinhardt.
Right, right. But like, I mean, then you have to be willing to give up your Reinhardt, right? In exchange for that. So that's a whole nother, that's what I'm saying. Like the ultimate, just the fact that you can copy other people, it's already like really good. And it opens up a lot of possibilities for your team to like create some really creative strategies to pull through. So to me, getting the ultimate is just kind of like the cherry on top of the pie, right? Because then again, Echo is investing her ultimate into becoming that person. So if she doesn't get the ultimate of that person, it's almost like you don't. It's almost like you don't. Yeah, it's almost like you don't have like a big ultimate. Like it would really rely on just like your raw gameplay with whatever hero you can control, which would be good, but it wouldn't be like great, right? So that's why I'm saying that at least you should be guaranteed one ultimate, but you shouldn't be guaranteed more than that, because more than that it's already getting too much. So if we look at it from that standpoint, why don't we just give her a flat rate? Because what you don't want is her to copy a hero and immediately have the ultimate, right? That would be super busted, because you could just copy whatever you need at the time and immediately use it, right? Like, oh, they used Graviton, I'm going to copy the Lucio, I'm going to beat. So you don't want her to like immediately get it. You do want it to be that. You do want it to be like a certain lag between the decision gets made and then the ultimate
gets generated. Yeah, exactly.
So from
that's way too powerful.
Yeah, from that standpoint, like what does that delay look like? How many seconds would we want between her transforming and her being able to get the ultimate right away? Which I would say maybe 5 seconds would be enough, maybe a little long.
The other thing that you could say on this is, I think at some point, especially in the development cycle, Blizzard says, ship it, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Because like this number, how they choose to delay this, what happens with the numbers? Are they doing the charge rate? Are they going to allow a cap on how many times they can do it? Are they going to allow how long the duration of the ultimate is? Are they going to adjust these numbers? You know, those type of things. Are they going to give the ultimate at the beginning, or do you have to generate it yourself? Those type of things. This is a game that evolves over time. And even if she shipped a superpower right out of the gate, personally, if she gets played all the time, great. It's a new hero. Why not? She could be strong for a little bit. Most of the heroes should be. I personally think that if you're in the development, if armchair development time, right? Like if we're sitting in our armchair saying that how we want to balance the game, and you're making a new hero and they're coming out, why not have everyone just go jump to the bandwagon and go play her? I think that it's fine for them to be strong.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I'm just thinking about how this ability could actually work in the context of Overwatch in this case.
Right.
Because of right now, like in the hands of the right person, oof.
It's gonna be scary.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really scary when she transforms. And I do think that she's gonna get toned down. I don't think they're gonna be like, no, this is how it is, and here we go. She might even get toned down before it hits the PTR. Sure. But I am thinking about like how can we make this ability fit? Because I do like the ability. This ability is super cool. I would say one of the coolest ability the game has seen.
It fits super unique with the story of her character as well. So that's something that Blizzard's done that's been really, really great, right? They've been able to make these hero abilities and ultimates feel impactful and strong for each character, and yet completely tied into their kit, their backstory, if you will, their kind of overall impact of the game and the overall arcing Overwatch theme. So I think that, like you said, Andres, that's really, really great for her. But I would like to see that number toned down. The thing that you said about capping it at one ultimate per ult seems a bit intriguing to me. because I personally think that most of the fun of the ability is being able to do it multiple times, but you choosing a hero that charges it slower is kind of an intriguing thing, because like some of the heroes that you select won't even have the capability of doing that in the first place, right? Or even if you're a really, really strong player, I don't think you're going to be able to build more than one beat if you pick Lucio, for example.
Right. No,
but like if you pick Tracer and you're like a pro player, regardless of how good or bad the enemy team is going to be, you're going to build like 4 pulse bombs. So,
and I agree, that looks awesome.
Scary.
I mean, being able to build 4 pulse bombs in a fight and being able to do that as a player, I mean, of course, that feels
maybe
awesome.
Maybe 2 Genji blades.
I mean, phew, that's like anti-AKM blade. The opposite.
This is solving AKM's problems. Just get this charge rate 6 times faster. Oh man. But what do you think about the other stuff? Let's get a little bit off of the ultimate bandwagon here, because I know that everyone always likes to talk about the ultimate, but the true fact of the matter is the kits in the game of Overwatch are the neutral right now, and how you're building to that point. Using the primary fire, using the sticky bombs, using the disintegration ray, whatever it's called. That's what I've been calling it, focusing beam. Those type of abilities, I feel like what you said about focusing beam earlier, let's go back to, because that one ability being your key confirm for a lot of things in the game is the distinguishing factor that makes her kind of push her over the edge for like auto include in the rosters, versus like making her a bit more on the weaker side of the neutral game. Because I think once you include focus beam and sticky bombs for zoning and primary fire for like medium to close range, like really high damage and fast fire rate, to me, I looked at Echo's kit and thought she is not only able to do a little bit of every aspect of Overwatch, right? Like poke damage, a little bit of area denial, explosions, kind of area of effect, and then zero downing on the barrier battle, and also confirming targets really well. She can fit into dive. She can also fit into pretty much any kind of comp. She not only can do everything, but she can do everything very well. And that's what seems to be really dangerous to me, outside of not even looking at what the ultimate can do. I think that everything does need to be toned down a little bit, but I trust Blizzard to kind of go there eventually, but I'm kind of struggling as to when they're going to do that. Are they going to do it in the PTR? We're going to have kind of an OP stage a little bit before it kind of goes down. What are we going to do here? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we're going to get an Echo that looks like the PTR right now, or close to it. I do want to see what people can do with it. I think she has a super high skill ceiling. Like, on the hands of the right player, you can do a lot with her already. And historically, these heroes take a while to really get unleashed to their full potential. Think of Doomfist, for example, a hero that has so much combo potential and so much movement potential. It does take a while for people to really start getting like, what is the best ways to move with this hero, and what is the best ways to move around this map specifically with this hero. So I want to see like a month or 2 after she gets released and what gets played. Because like you said, Rob, her kit alone without the ultimate is already really interesting. I think she's not gonna be super easy to play. She's very squishy, and she's counterable. For example, Sombra, I think, has a great deal of an upper hand against her. She neutralizes all her abilities, and she is an ability-based hero, kind of like Doomfist is. You're not a McCree, right? You're not there because of your primary fire. So it'll be interesting to see where things go.
I totally agree. Let's talk a little bit more about the development cycle stuff that we got in a interview with Hammeh, Hammeh on YouTube. I've included in the show notes on the Google Drive the YouTube link for this, and I did a quick summary of the video. And also, props to Hammeh for being able to get this interview with Jeff Kaplan and Jeff Goodman. But there was some interesting things about Echo. There's also some interesting things about Mina Liao, the original creator of the Omnics, the creator of Echo, and also the sentience of Echo is supposed to be a reflection, an echo, if you will, of who Mina was before her death, and in her planning. Also, Mina is one of the original founding members of Overwatch and knows Gabriel Reyes and Jack Morrison, aka Reaper and Soldier 76, respectively, very, very well. And they wanted to help fight back against the Omnics using the person that essentially created them. So very, very cool stuff in the Omnic Crisis there. But let's back it up here. We have Echo used to have in the initial concept art stages a boomerang looking ability that either used her wings as the boomerang or flung her wing out in front of her for a projectile like boomerang beam. There was also a wing pulled out to fire at the end of it, kind of a feather barrage type thing, like a mini barrage ability. And then there was a face laser ability that looked really cool, and a arm cannon where the hand would just be a cannon instead. In the concept art. Andres, what do you think about some of this stuff? This sounded amazing to me. Like an arm boomerang seemed awesome.
Yeah, a lot of like really cool concepts in here. I mean, we're starved for lore and more Overwatch story, so the more that we can get, the better. I think that Echo already has a really cool backstory. Like she's linked to the creator of the actual Omnics. So the whole reason why this crisis has started is because of the creator of, or not because of the creator, but like she was at the epicenter of where it all started. So I don't know.
If I
Like,
want to check the stream, it's showing Discord text instead of video cameras right now.
oh, that's weird. Oop. There we go. I forget that now my the OBS is all being all weird now.
Yeah. But they had like more than that in here than just these cool abilities. But they legitimately tried to see if they could make a balanced version of Echo fly permanently. Originally.
Oh, really?
They were trying to make
just
her
like
fly
all the
without
time?
any abilities, just be able to do it, but do it slow. They're like, what if we just let her do this permanent thing slower and then lower lower her ceiling of the skybox or something? They were talking about some weird stuff, but they were like, in the end, we just had to scrap it because it was just too. They're like,
Too much.
no, that's too good.
I think there's a lot of potential with her. We have some crazy ideas from PvPX over here in the chat. He's saying, what if we make it into a hero that can transform into any role? With her ultimate, you can become a tank, you can become a support, you can become a damage dealer. That's another way you can take definitely her ultimate too, because she does fit that, right? She's supposed to be an adaptable robot that can learn from her surroundings, and she's a machine, so she can probably learn like super fast too.
Yeah, we have PvVX actually joining us in the chat today, so welcome from good old Cloud9 streamer. But yeah, I think he brought up an interesting point. He said he wished that they released Echo as a first multi-role character, converting the kit into supportive kit, like throwing sticky bombs on allies to heal them instead. I really like that idea, but you could almost argue that she still is, because she can copy somebody with her ultimate and fill that role. She can fill the tank role. She can fill giving multi-roles that way. She can still fill the healing role with Ana, like we were talking earlier. So
yeah,
I mean,
she
yes
can definitely do it,
right?
to a limited extent. Yeah, definitely she can do it. We did have a game where we lost our main tank, and I think it was Deathblow who was playing Echo, and he copied the enemy Reinhardt right away.
Their
and
main
Deathblow,
tank.
yeah, Deathblow is already like a really good Reinhardt player, so we ended up turning the tide of battle and winning that point anyway because we still had a tank, no problem.
It's also really cool that this type of hero, I remember when Sinatra was there, he's like, I love this hero because I can play Zarya with it. He's like one of the few DPS players that is legitimately super confident on playing off tank, in particular Zarya and Roadhog. But he plays DPS for his team in the Overwatch League. And so those type of players that are kind of the quote unquote flex gods are really going to like this hero, because it's not only a high skill ceiling, skill floor hero that you can play, but it also requires you to have a lot of game knowledge, a lot of other hero competency. You can't just like you say, Andres, you can't just willy-nilly copy them.
There you go.
I got you, man.
See, the word comes in handy every once in a while.
Can't just do it. Just do it willy-nilly.
But no, I totally agree with you. Like,
go ahead.
having a wide pool of heroes that you can control proficiently only enhances your play, right? Being able to play not only the meta heroes, those are going to be important, but like if they're playing like an off meta hero and you can counter them using that off meta hero, boom, you can do it like that too. I bet PvP is salivating over Echo right now because he's the type of guy that plays a ton of heroes.
Yeah. Especially when you got high ranking like proficiencies with multiple roles. That's where this really shines, right? You got people like Jonak that can play this type of thing on DPS. They're like, let's bring Jonak in, but not on support. We're gonna bring him in on Echo, and then he's gonna steal your Zen and kill you with it. Like, or steal your Ana and kill you with it. That type of thing. There's something cool here. That Echo, one of her variations on her ultimate before they landed on this one was that she had kind of an after image echo effect originally, where it was about a second or like 3/4 of a second prior to her that was just phasing with her movements, kind of like following her like a blur. And then anything you did with your abilities, they would copy it. So if you threw your sticky bombs, then they would come out again as a second version. It would be like, like really quick, but it would be, he said that they ended up scrapping it because it was, once you use an ability that someone's trying to dodge, a lot of the times the second version of it just doesn't hit at all. And it didn't really have a whole lot of impact. It was very weak ultimate.
Yeah,
it felt really flavorful for the character, but it didn't really have a big impact. And so that's why they ended up overall dropping it. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So this is transitioning into more of the development cycle for her. She was in development with her abilities and her artwork to be finalized, at least in a general sense, so that they could lock specific aspects of it down for launch before the Reunion cinematic had been midway through development. Because the Reunion cinematic, as you know, is the one that released in November of 2018 with McCree and Ash for Ash's release, but had Echo as an aspect of Route 66 in it. And so they wanted to make sure that when they displayed Echo, they had enough of her concept art, her appearance, her overall VO locked in place and ready to go for the cinematic art direction to be able to put something like that together. So this means that they were making the trailer for Reunion in early 2018. And that's when early 2018 is basically when some of the art direction and kind of overall look of Echo had to be locked down. So to give you an idea, that's way, way back of development cycle for this type of hero for development. Real long time.
Wow, yeah, that's been in there for a while. So
like think January 2018, like early 2018. That's like,
it really makes me
insane.
start thinking about some of the other heroes that they have in store. Like, what's up with this? And PvP brings out a good point over here. And I know that some people were upset with it, that Echo was released as a DPS. Because a lot of people are convinced she was going to come in as a support, right? She even kind of has like that support kind of look. Yeah. So yeah, I do agree. It was very interesting that she was released as a DPS, but it does make me think, what are the other characters that they have in their sleeve right now? Because if Echo has been in development for this long and just released now, that means that there's so many other characters that are fully fleshed out that maybe we have.
I would imagine probably more than 8 at this point in time in various levels of readiness, right?
Yeah, we have to have a pretty good amount of supports and tanks in there. Maybe Echo just happened to be like one of the 8 that was ready, that was the DPS. Or I don't know, maybe they shifted some gears inside and were like, hey, this guy works much better as a support. We do know that with Overwatch 2, we'll be getting a lot more heroes. Not just like one more hero, but like 4 or 5 more heroes at a time.
We know Sojourn is one of them.
If not more, yeah. Maybe it would be crazy if we get like 8 heroes like all at once. So it's gonna be a huge change to the game there. Now, how far away is Overwatch 2? I don't know. Can Overwatch survive another BlizzCon without releasing anything major? I don't know. It makes me think that, especially the pressure from things like Valorant in the horizon coming this summer, that's like actual Overwatch competition. It's not like Call of Duty that it's kind of parallel, but I don't think that the audience is mixed that much, but Valorant does, and it's gonna demand a lot of attention from the player base of Overwatch. So I don't know. I think Overwatch is gearing up to release soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, because they did confirm they're gonna do a bunch of heroes on the launch. Like that's the whole thing, and I'm betting they're holding their cards really close to launch. And shipping Echo as a DPS that also can just copy stuff is kind of like, they're like, we understand, but this is how we were planning on doing it like 2 years ago, so we can't exactly just go back on it willy-nilly and make it happen. So I understand, like, from a development standpoint, and you release something and people are like, why isn't this a support? You're like, because we made the decision 2.5 years ago, we can't go back on it like just midway through cycle after we've already created like a ton of assets. Like I understand that sort of thing, but like I also understand that they probably realized somewhere along the way when they're transitioning in the development cycles for Overwatch 2, they're like, okay, about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, they're like, okay, Overwatch 2, we're starting to deviate our assets over there. We're going to make a bunch of heroes. What are we looking to make? A bunch of tanks and a bunch of supports. I bet you that's the first thing that's in that like oval office like meeting room, closed door NDAs through the wazoo, ready to go. Like they're not letting anything out of that room, but it's pretty reasonable to assume we're getting a bunch of tanks and a bunch of supports. It sounded like it was more than 4 for Overwatch 2 released, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally, I hope it's at least 2 tanks, 2 supports, if not only tanks and supports released with the new game, and maybe 1 or 2 new DPS. If they release way more than that, then I will be completely blown away if we get more than 4 heroes, to be honest. Like, given how much polish they were talking about Echo, they were saying some of the things and just putting shadows effects on Reaper's like teleportation thing took like 6 months to get that to look right, display right, not get bugged. Reaper still gets, there's always those little asterisk things in the bug reports for certain heroes are like, fixed a bug where so and so could get to unintended locations. It's like, yeah, I bet that's a lot. A lot of development. But let's blast through a couple more things here for you. This would slot Echo's development as over a year to make it look published for PTR. Lots of technical processing on assets to create beyond just the abilities working in the game. Kaplan said that there's always lots of projects being developed for heroes, maps, and cinematics to make them, not counting the Overwatch 2 separate team. Mina Liao, the creator of Echo and the Omnics, is in the story for a long time, dating back to the summer of 2013 of internal planning. 2013. This is 7 years ago in the summer. And Mina Liao's story is also something that they were clear that is something that they want to explore more. But, you know, Overwatch is a game that's shooting based and not really historical fiction or fictional writing. And she's not really the type of hero that you would want to see in a firefight. She's very cerebral. She's very much inventive, kind of like think Effie or Efi and Orisa. They're not very combat oriented. They're more inventive and cerebral is kind of the best term that he used there. But they're more interested in trying to see if they can tie up some loose ends in the future, maybe using some of her story. And Overwatch 2 was also confirmed to be focusing more on future and present day Overwatch instead of the past. So we're kind of like jumping to the future. We don't really have a whole lot of the information of the past. Maybe we'll uncover more of it through the story or not, but we're kind of doing the whole progression system in that. Last, very, very cool, completely unrelated to everything. There was a talk about the pyramid on the Anubis map. That pyramid is supposedly, if you rewatch the Farah comic, has a god AI kept captive inside of the Temple of Anubis. And they will be giving more story about this in the future. So
I bet there's gotta be a mission in there.
That seems like something really big, cool story, potential hero, maybe map or missions. I don't know, but sounds amazing. But that's pretty much all the stuff from Hammy's video. And there's a little bit of a flight bug fix for Echo that she was able to do a speed burst and kind of do a mercy skip that they patched out the day after PTR. So Andres, what do you think about all this other stuff about the development cycles? I don't know if we want to go too far the rabbit trail there, but any comments there?
Yeah, I don't think we need to go too far into it. I think it's interesting getting an insight into like what they're doing back there. We haven't had much insight into what's happening with Overwatch lately, just because, you know, they've kept Overwatch 2 a little bit secretive. I know they were not very keen on it leaking out the announcement, and they have been pretty locked down after that, I feel. So it's nice to see a little bit of the insight there. That being said, though, I'm ready to play Echo, and I wish she gets put into the live version soon because she does seem very, very fun.
I am curious as to what's going to happen in the next couple, months and weeks as we transition into BlizzCon Day. Like, will we get a BlizzCon this year? We don't know. There's all this stuff with the coronavirus and kind of keeping us down on certain things. And I found out recently, like, My brother's gonna have to potentially move some things around with his wedding, maybe do a private one, small one, and then like a open ceremony once this thing kind of calms down. Or not, he doesn't even know if where he can reasonably set up for his honeymoon as well. You know, because of if he wants to go international or within the nation of the United States, it doesn't really matter. There's still places in the United States that are on lockdown right now.
Yep.
So
and I feel like it's just starting over here.
Yeah, it's really kind of ridiculous as far as like just how many things are affected, if that makes sense. Like there's so many things that get affected by it, and it happens so fast. Like every day I feel like there's completely brand new stuff that I've got to pay attention to, and just staying on top of it all is exhausting. So to all of you guys listening out there, just be safe. Wash your hands frequently. Use as much of your resources as you can to just stay away from people that even look sick. Try not to get coughed on. Try to not to touch your face, I guess, is the other thing that they said about it.
Yeah, I will say, thankfully, us gamers are in a good position. You know, if you get the opportunity to work from home, then you're very lucky. If you haven't been, as lucky that you've been affected by this whole situation financially, well, at least know that you have friends online. You can come and talk to us. You can interact in the Discord. The game night, it's gonna be a fantastic place to get your mind off of things and have good people to play with. So yeah, we'll try to be here to entertain you through your quarantines, as we're trying to be entertained too. I know that it's gonna get old being in my house all day for like the next foreseeable future.
Agreed. Andres, do you want to do our diamond sponsorships as well as new patrons for the week and iTunes reviews for us as we kind of close things out?
Yeah, let's close things out. Again, super special thanks to all of our diamond patrons, Cypher, Shazir, and April L. You guys freaking rock. We got a new patron, Luke H, coming hot to plat tier. We'll see you in the coaching, Luke. And we have one iTunes review coming from Seluketh, Australia. He says, love the show, very informative, and I do feel my gameplay has gotten better, and the way I go about the game has changed since listening to the new and past episodes. Keep up the awesome work, show, podcast. Thanks a lot, Zalukith. We really appreciate it. There's so much to learn with Overwatch. I feel like even after 4 years of playing this game, I'm still learning and still applying new things to my gameplay. So definitely, your opinion of this game will continue to evolve the more you play it. Is the cool thing about it.
Special thanks also to all of the existing patrons out there. Make sure if you're at the plat or higher level on Patreon to take advantage of your coaching sessions. It's like Andres and I were saying at the top of the show, it's a really great way to spend some of your time to get better while you can with maybe some of you and your free time. In addition to that, we want to also just say to our console folks, we hope you guys get Echo soon, that you can enjoy it. But for now, maybe tune into some streams and kind of get some people you like watching until it comes to you. But I personally think that when I was talking with some folks, Echo seems like the right type of character for console for kind of the first time in a while. Like doing some of the stuff that she does with joysticks and how popular Mercy and Pharah on our console kind of seems to me pretty good indicator that she might be pretty well used on console for a change. So I'm pretty excited for you guys to have something fun to use with your joysticks and your triggers over there in console. And please let us know if you like something when she does come out. Please shoot us our messages anytime. We'd love to hear how you're enjoying the hero in a different format and how strong they are. You can find the show anywhere and everywhere at omniclab.com. That will give you everything. We got a links page, we got our sponsors, we got our Patreon. You can find us on the Discord anytime. You can get invites there. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. All the links are in the show notes. If you're missing them out, you can find us on Twitter. You can find me at NotRob. Andres, where can people find you?
You can find me over on Twitter at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games. MySpace coming
All right,
soon.
I think, yeah, that's going to do it for pretty much everything, you guys and gals out there. So hopefully we'll see you on the following week, and maybe we'll be able to play Echo. Don't forget to do your Retribution stuff and get those extra loot boxes because those new skins are sweet. Don't be Lairbat, be a scientist. We'll see you then. Adios.
I have nothing.